My name is Marisol, and I'm 29 years old. I was just hanging the last ornament on my small Christmas tree, finally ready for my first peaceful holiday season in years when my phone buzzed with a text from Mom about Christmas plans. For over a decade, I'd been the family's designated free babysitter, missing my own life to watch everyone else's children. This year, I'd promised myself things would be different. But as I stared at that message, I knew Mum had other plans for me. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you're watching from this holiday season. Please hit like and subscribe if you've ever been the family's unpaid childcare service. Now let me take you back to how this all started and why this Christmas became the one that changed everything. 3 weeks before Christmas, I was living what I thought was my best life. My one-bedroom apartment in downtown wasn't large, but it was mine decorated exactly how I wanted, with soft grey walls and plants in every corner. As a freelance graphic designer, I'd finally built up enough clients to have steady income and actual savings in my bank account for the first time. That Tuesday evening, I was working on a logo design for a local coffee shop when my phone rang. Mum's photo appeared on the screen, and I felt that familiar twist in my stomach. She always started these calls the same way, sweet as honey before the sting. "Hi, sweetie, how are you? How's work going?" "Good, Mum, just finishing up a project. How are you and Dad?" "Oh, we're wonderful. Actually, I'm calling about Christmas. We need to finalize the plans." There it was, the word need. Not want, not hope, but need. "What plans?" I asked, though I already felt the trap closing. "Well, Jennifer and Brad are taking that ski trip they've been planning. You know how stressed Jennifer's been with the kids. And Amy really needs some adult time with Marcus. They're visiting his parents in Florida. I set down my stylus, my design forgotten. "Okay, and we thought you could watch the kids. It'll be fun. You're so good with them." The kids. Jennifer's 3 8-year-old Brendan, who had just discovered the joy of arguing about everything 6-year-old Katie, who refused to eat anything that wasn't beige, and 4-year-old Tyler, who still wasn't fully potty trained. Plus Amy's twin 2-year-olds Lucas and Logan, who seemed to communicate in screams and had recently learned to climb furniture. "Mom, that's 5 kids." "Yes, but you don't have any of your own, so you have all that energy to spare. Plus it's family tradition. The unmarried aunt always helps out. That's what family does." The unmarried aunt. As if my relationship status determined my value solely as free labor. I wanted to scream that maybe I was unmarried because I'd spent every holiday for the past decade watching other people's children instead of meeting anyone or having a life of my own. When would this be? Just Christmas Day, honey. Well, Christmas Eve too. The kids could even spend the night at your place. My place. My beautiful, quiet, definitely not child-proof sanctuary with its white couch and glass coffee table. I imagined Tyler's sticky hands on my walls, the twins pulling my plants down, Brendan complaining that I didn't have the right video games. "Mom, I need to think about it." "What's there to think about?" "It's family duty, Marisol. You've always been such a good helper. Helper, not daughter, not sister, not aunt. Helper." "I'll let you know, Mom." "Don't take too long, sweetie. Jennifer needs to confirm her reservations." Of course. Jennifer's ski trip was more important than asking if I even had plans. Which I did, actually. I'd signed up to volunteer at the homeless shelter on Christmas Day, something I'd wanted to do for years but never could, because I was always watching kids. After Mum hung up, I sat staring at my half-finished design. The coffee shop logo blurred as tears of frustration filled my eyes. Last Christmas flashed through my mind in Jennifer's living room, trying to keep Tyler from eating Christmas ornaments while Katie had a meltdown because her presents weren't wrapped in the right color paper. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Brad were at a fancy restaurant having their annual Christmas Eve date night. I'd thrown out my back carrying Lucas and Logan simultaneously up the stairs for their nap, spending the next week in pain. Nobody had even thanked me. Jennifer had actually complained that I'd let Brendan have too much candy. I picked up my phone and scrolled through Instagram. There was Jennifer posting photos from a spa day with the caption, "Self-care is so important for mums." There was Amy at a wine tasting with her mum friends. There was Mum at her book club luncheon. Everyone had time for themselves except me because my time belonged to everyone else. The next 3 days were a masterclass in family manipulation. It started Wednesday morning with a text from Jennifer that was impressive in its presumption. "Hi Murray, Mom said you're watching the kids for Christmas." So exciting, I'm putting together their schedules and food requirements. Brendan can't have red dye anymore, it makes him hyper. Katie is going through a phase where she'll only eat if you arrange her food into a smiley face. Tyler needs his special blanket for naps or he won't sleep. I'll send you the twins' schedule too since Amy asked me to coordinate. Can't wait for you to have fun with them. Fun, she kept using that word. I don't think it meant what she thought it meant. Before I could even process Jennifer's message, Amy called. I could hear the twins screaming in the background. Mari, thank God you're watching the kids. Marcus and I are at our breaking point. We haven't had a real conversation in months. His parents have been begging us to visit, and this is our only chance. The boys are going through a difficult phase right now. They're biters, but I'm sure you can handle it. You're like the kid whisperer. Amy, I haven't actually agreed to anything yet. What? But Mom said you were doing it. We already bought our plane tickets. Of course they had. Why wait for my actual answer when they could just assume my compliance? I need to check my schedule, I said weakly. What schedule you work from home? You can work while they nap. Right, because managing 5 kids would definitely leave me time and energy for client work. The last time I'd tried to work while babysitting Tyler, had somehow gotten hold of my laptop and deleted a presentation I'd spent 3 days creating. Amy spent another 10 minutes detailing the twins' routines, their favourite shows, their allergies, their recent developmental leaps that mainly seemed to involve destroying everything they could reach. By the time she hung up, I had a stress headache forming behind my eyes. That afternoon, Dad called. His approach was different, but equally effective. Princess, your mother is really counting on you for Christmas. You know her heart condition acts up when she's stressed. Mum's heart condition, the one that mysteriously only appeared when she needed me to do something. Dad, I'm 29 years old. I have my own life. Of course you do, but family comes first. Always has in our family. Your grandmother would be so disappointed if she heard you were abandoning everyone at Christmas. Abandoning, because not providing free childcare was equivalent to abandonment. Thursday brought Grandma herself calling from her retirement community in Arizona. Marisol dear, I heard you're being difficult about Christmas. Grandma, I'm not being difficult. I'm just trying to figure out if I can manage 5 kids by myself. Your mother managed 3 children. I managed 4. It's what women do. We sacrifice for family. That's how we show love. Times are different now, Grandma. Love isn't different. Duty isn't different. Don't be selfish, dear. Selfish. There was that word. The one they always pulled out when I tried to have boundaries. By Friday, I was cracking. I'd barely slept, anxiety keeping me awake as I imagined Christmas Day. I tried to work on my projects, but kept getting interrupted by family texts. Jennifer sent me a detailed schedule that looked like a military operation: breakfast, at 7, educational activities, at 8, structured play, at 9, snack at 10, with approved foods only. Amy sent me links to articles about positive discipline and gentle parenting, as if I was going to completely reshape my approach to childcare in 2 weeks. I missed a client deadline because I spent 2 hours on the phone with various family members, all telling me how important this was, how much they needed me, how good I was with kids, how I didn't understand because I didn't have children of my own. That evening, my best friend Lisa found me in my apartment, surrounded by empty cookie packages and wine bottles, crying into my laptop. Whoa, what happened? Did someone die? My will to live, I mumbled through chocolate chip cookie crumbs. Lisa sat down next to me, moving aside the chaos. Talk to me. I told her everything. The 5 kids, the 5 days, the expectations, the guilt trips, the assumptions. Lisa listened, her expression growing more incredulous with each detail. Hold up. 5 days. You said Christmas Day. Apparently Mom misspoke. It's December 23rd through 27th. Are they paying you? I laughed bitterly. Payment. It's family duty, Lisa. My payment is the honor of serving my family. Murray, do you hear yourself? You're not a family member, you're unpaid staff. But if I don't do it, Jennifer and Amy will miss their trips. So did they ask you before booking? Did they check if you had plans? No but. But nothing. Murray, how long has this been going on? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Since I was 16, Jennifer had Brendan when I was 21, and I became the default babysitter. Before that, I watched all the younger cousins at family events. 13 years. You've been doing this for 13 years. The number hit me like a punch. 13 years of my life spent raising other people's children while they lived their lives. Do you remember Jennifer's wedding? I asked Lisa. You mean the one where you were supposed to be a bridesmaid, but ended up watching kids in the hotel room instead? I missed the entire reception. Jennifer said the kids would be too disruptive, so I stayed upstairs with them. I watched her first dance on Facebook Live. What about Amy's baby shower? I was in the backyard supervising the older cousins. I never even saw her open the gifts I bought her. Lisa took my hand. Murray, they treat you like this because you let them. I know, but every time I try to say no, they make me feel like I'm betraying the family. What family? The one that treats you like free labor? The one that never asks about your life, your dreams, your needs? She was right. When was the last time any of them asked about my work, my friends, my interests? Every conversation was about what I could do for them. The next Monday, 1 week before Christmas, Mum called with what she termed the finalised plans. I was working on a rush project for a new client, a website design that could lead to a long-term contract, but I set it aside to answer. Marisol, I'm so glad you're being reasonable about this. Now Jennifer will drop the kids off on December 23rd at 8 in the morning. She and Brad leave for the airport at 9, so don't be late picking them up. Wait, what December 23rd? Mum, you said Christmas Day. Oh no, dear. Jennifer's ski package is for 5 days. December 23rd through 27th. Amy and Marcus leave on the 23rd too. They'll drop the twins off at 7:30. I felt the room spin. 5 days, Mum, that's my entire Christmas break. Well, yes, but you don't have anywhere to go, do you? Actually, I did. I had plans to volunteer at the shelter, attend my friend's Christmas party, and finally read the stack of books I'd been saving all year. But apparently, those didn't count as real plans. Where am I supposed to keep 5 kids? My apartment is 700 square feet. Oh, you'll stay at Jennifer's house. She has all the kids' things there. It's much easier. Jennifer's house was 40 minutes from my apartment in the suburbs. I'd have to pack up my entire work setup, cancel my client meetings, and spend 5 days in a house that wasn't mine, taking care of children who weren't mine while their parents enjoyed vacations I could only dream of affording. Mom, I have to work. I have deadlines. You can work while they sleep. Kids nap, you know. 2-year-old twins and a 4-year-old might nap. What about the older two? They can entertain themselves. You're making this much harder than it needs to be. Am I, Mom? Do you have any idea what you're asking of me? I'm asking you to help your family. Something you've always been happy to do. Happy. Had I ever been happy about it? Or had I just been too afraid of their disappointment to say no? And Mom, what are you and Dad doing for Christmas? Oh, we're hosting Dad's business partners for dinner on Christmas Eve. Very important clients from Japan. We need everything to be perfect, which is why we can't have children running around. So everyone had plans. Everyone had something important to do. Everyone except me, because my only importance was in serving others. We already told Jennifer and Amy you agreed to watch the kids, Mum added casually. You told them I agreed, Mum. I never agreed. Well, you didn't say no. They've made their arrangements. You can't back out now. I hung up. I actually hung up on my mother, something I'd never done before. My hands were shaking as I threw my phone across the room where it landed safely on the couch. Then I went to the bathroom and sat on the floor crying from pure rage and frustration. Jennifer's text arrived within minutes. Mum said you're all set. I'm dropping off the kids at 7:30 on the 23rd. Earlier than planned because our flight got moved up. Here's the house key. Tyler has been having nightmares, so he might need to sleep in your bed. Brendan's Xbox time is limited to 2 hours a day, but it's Christmas, so maybe 3. Katie needs her special yogurt for breakfast, or she won't eat all day. Thanks so much. You're the best aunt ever. Amy's text followed. The twins have been sick, some kind of stomach bug. Mostly over it now, but they might still be contagious. Pack extra clothes, and they've learnt to climb out of their cribs, so watch them carefully. You're a lifesaver. Sick kids, of course. Not only would I be watching 5 children, but potentially sick children who could get me and all the others sick too. And I was the best aunt ever, a lifesaver, as long as I did exactly what they wanted without complaint. Another text from Mum. Don't be selfish. Family comes first. That word, selfish, the weapon they'd used against me for 13 years. But something about seeing it in writing so blunt and manipulative finally broke something loose in me, or maybe it fixed something that had been broken for too long. I called Lisa. Can you come over and bring wine? A lot of wine. She arrived within an hour, took one look at my face and said, We're going to fix this. Lisa and I sat on my living room floor surrounded by my laptop, several notebooks and 2 bottles of wine. She'd listened to me rant for 30 minutes about the family situation, occasionally interjecting with increasingly creative profanity directed at my relatives. Okay, she finally said, let's break this down logically. What would happen if you just didn't do it? Jennifer and Amy would miss their trips. And they'd be furious. So they're going to take you for granted whether they're furious or not. What else? Mum would give me the cold shoulder. Dad would be disappointed. Grandma would lecture me about family values. All temporary consequences. What else? I thought about it. I guess they'd have to actually pay for childcare. Lisa pulled out her phone. Let's see. Professional babysitters in this area charge about $25 an hour. For 5 kids, probably more. Let's say $40 an hour for 5 kids, 10 hours a day, minimum 5 days. She did the math. $2,000. That's what your labor is worth. And that's not counting overnight rates. $2,000. I stared at the number. That was more than I made in a week sometimes. When was the last time they paid you anything? Lisa asked. Jennifer gave me $50 once for watching her kids for a weekend. A whole weekend, $50. Marie, that's insulting. But family doesn't pay family. And family doesn't exploit family either. But here we are. She opened her laptop. You know what? Let's look at alternatives. What would you do with those 5 days if you could do anything? I can't afford a vacation. Just dream with me. What would you do? Honestly, I've always wanted to do volunteer work abroad, building schools or teaching English or something meaningful. Lisa's fingers flew over her keyboard. What do you mean when? When would you leave if you could hire? This is crazy, Lisa. Crazy is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Look at this. She turned her laptop toward me. On the screen was a website for a volunteer program in Guatemala. Building schools for indigenous communities. December 22nd through January 2nd. Room and board included. Spanish language lessons in the morning, construction work in the afternoon. I can't just leave the country. Why not? You have a passport. You have savings. You have vacation days saved up that you never use because you're always on call for your family. I looked at the photos on the website. Volunteers working alongside local families. Children playing in front of newly built classrooms. Everyone looked tired, but genuinely happy. When was the last time I'd looked genuinely happy? It's $1,200 for the whole program, I said. Less than what your family should be paying you for 5 days of childcare. They'll never forgive me. Murray, look at me. They don't appreciate you now. What are you really losing? I thought about Jennifer's Instagram posts from her girls' trips, Amy's date night photos, Mum's garden club luncheons. Everyone else got to have a life. Everyone else's time mattered. What if the kids actually need me? Their parents can cancel their trips, or they can hire actual childcare. These are not your children, Mari. You did not choose to have them. You should not be sacrificing your life for them. At 2 a.m, after the second bottle of wine and the 100th time looking at the volunteer program website, I did it. I entered my credit card information and clicked submit. The confirmation email arrived immediately. Welcome to our Christmas family. We're so excited to have you join us in Guatemala. Christmas family. The irony wasn't lost on me. I spent the next week in secret preparation mode. I told my clients I'd be unavailable for the holidays, but would complete all urgent projects before leaving. I arranged for Lisa to check on my apartment and water my plants. I bought hiking boots and work gloves. I practiced my rusty Spanish with an app on my phone. I also practiced what I would say to my family. In front of my bathroom mirror, I rehearsed different versions of the conversation. Calm and logical, emotional but firm, angry and definitive. I didn't know which version would come out when the moment arrived. Jennifer kept sending me texts about the kids' schedules. Amy sent me videos of the twins so I could familiarize myself with their current interests. Mum sent me recipes for the kids' favorite meals as if I'd never fed them before. I responded to none of them, which should have been a red flag for them, but they were too absorbed in their own plans to notice. December 20th arrived and I packed my suitcase. Work clothes, bug spray, sunscreen, and a journal to document my experience. My passport sat on top next to my plane ticket. In 36 hours, I'd be on a plane to Guatemala City. The thought terrified and thrilled me in equal measure. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the confrontation to come. Would I cave? Would the guilt overwhelm me? Would I grab my suitcase and run out the door before anyone could stop me? I'd been the good daughter, the reliable sister, the perfect aunt for so long. Who would I be if I wasn't those things? Maybe I'd finally be Marisol. Just Marisol. Not Marisol who watches the kids, or Marisol who doesn't have her own family so she has time. Just me, a person whose time and energy and dreams mattered as much as everyone else's. December 21st arrived grey and cold. I drove to my parents' house with my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. The whole family was gathering for the traditional pre-Christmas dinner, one last celebration, before everyone scattered to their various holiday plans. I sat in my car for 5 minutes practicing deep breathing. Through the dining room window, I could see them all gathered around the table. Jennifer was showing Amy something on her phone, probably resort photos. Mum was bringing in dishes from the kitchen. Dad was pouring wine. Grandma had even come in from Arizona for the holidays. They looked like a perfect family from a Christmas card. As long as you didn't notice someone was missing from the picture, or rather someone was always behind the camera, never in the frame. I walked in through the side door and Mum immediately put me to work. "Oh good, you're here. Can you help serve? The rolls are in the oven." Of course. Even at family dinner, I was the help. We sat down to eat and the conversation naturally turned to everyone's Christmas plans. Jennifer couldn't stop talking about the ski resort. "They have a spa. Can you imagine 5 days of massages and hot tubs? Brad and I haven't had alone time in months." "The beach house in Florida looks amazing," Amy added. "Marcus's parents have a boat. We're going to take the twins out on the water." "Your father's clients are very important," Mum said. "This dinner could lead to a huge contract. Everything has to be perfect." Nobody asked about my plans. Nobody wondered what I'd be doing while watching 5 children. I was invisible, a non-entity, just a service that would be provided as expected. Finally, during dessert, Mum said, "Marisol Jennifer will drop the kids off at 7:30 tomorrow morning." "Amy, you said 7? This was it, my moment. I stood up. "Actually, I won't be watching the kids." The silence was immediate and complete. Forks stopped moving. Wine glasses paused midway to lips. Everyone stared at me like I'd just announced I was an alien. "What?" Jennifer's voice was sharp. "What do you mean you won't be watching them?" "I mean I won't be available. You'll need to make other arrangements." The explosion was instantaneous. "Other arrangements?" Jennifer shrieked. "Our flight leaves at 9 tomorrow morning. The trip is non-refundable." "Our tickets cost $2,000. Amy cried, tears already forming in her eyes. "Marisol, this is unacceptable," Dad said in his stern business voice. "You made a commitment." "No," I said calmly, though my hands were shaking under the table. "You all assumed I would do it. Nobody asked me. Nobody checked if I had plans. You just decided my time belonged to you." "What plans could you possibly have?" Mum demanded. "My own plans, which matter just as much as everyone else's." "You're being selfish," Grandma said, shaking her head. "Family helps family." "Really, when was the last time any of you helped me? When I was sick with the flu last year, did anyone bring me soup? When I moved apartments, did anyone offer to help? When I lost my biggest client and was stressed about making rent, did anyone check on me?" Silence. "But I've been here for every birthday, every holiday, every date night, every emergency. I've been the free babysitting service for 13 years. Do you know how many things I've missed? How many opportunities I've passed up?" "That's what family does," Jennifer said, but her voice was less certain now. "No, that's what servants do, and I'm done being your servant." "How can you do this to us?" Amy was fully crying now. "My in-laws are expecting us." "Then hire a babysitter. Professional childcare exists." "Do you know how much that costs?" Jennifer demanded. "About $40 an hour for 5 kids, $2,000 for 5 days, which is what my labor is worth." "You want us to pay you?" Mum looked aghast. "No, I want you to respect that my time has value. But since you can't do that, I'm taking my time back." "If this is about money," Dad started. "It's not about money. It's about 13 years of being taken for granted. It's about missing Jennifer's wedding reception because I was watching kids in a hotel room. It's about missing Amy's baby shower because I was supervising cousins in the backyard. It's about every holiday spent managing children while their parents enjoyed themselves." "You offered to help," Jennifer protested. "When did I offer? When have I ever offered? You just announced I would do it, and I was too afraid of disappointing you to say no." "After everything we've done for you," Mum said, playing her ultimate card. "What have you done for me, Mum, specifically beyond basic parenting when I was a child? What have you done?" She opened and closed her mouth, no words coming out. "I'll tell you what I've done," I continued. "I've provided approximately 5,000 hours of free childcare over 13 years. At minimum wage, that's over $50,000 of labour. At professional rates, it's closer to $200,000. I've missed job interviews, dates, parties and opportunities. I've sacrificed my 20s to raise children that aren't mine. They're your nieces and nephews," Jennifer said. "Yes, and I love them, but they're your children, your responsibility, not mine." "So what are we supposed to do?" Amy wailed. "Everything is booked. Figure it out, like adults, like parents." "Where are you even going that's so important?" Mum demanded. I took a breath. Guatemala. I'm volunteering with a program that builds schools for children who actually need help. The silence was deafening. You're leaving the country? Dad asked, incredulous. Yes, my flight leaves tomorrow afternoon. This is insane, Jennifer said. You're ruining Christmas to go build schools for strangers. I'm saving my own life to go do something meaningful. There's a difference. Mum stood up, her face red. If you walk out that door tomorrow, don't bother coming back. I'm not walking out, Mum. I'm finally walking into my own life. You're destroying this family, Grandma said. No, I'm just refusing to be destroyed by it anymore. I stood to leave. Mum actually blocked the door. You can't do this. I forbid it. I'm 29 years old, Mom. You can't forbid me from anything. Family comes first, she said desperately. Then why do I always come last? She had no answer for that. I walked around her and out the door, ignoring the shouting behind me. Jennifer ran out after me. Murray, please. We'll pay you $500. Jennifer, professional childcare for 5 kids for 5 days would cost you at least $2,000, probably more. That's highway robbery. No, that's market rate. The fact that you don't know that shows how much you've taken me for granted. But you're family. Exactly. I'm family, not staff, not a servant, family. And family should be treated with respect, not exploited. I got in my car and drove away, leaving Jennifer standing in the driveway. My phone immediately started exploding with messages, but I didn't read them. I had a plane to catch and a life to start living. December 22nd dawned bright and cold. I woke up in my apartment for the last time before my trip suitcase packed by the door. My phone had 47 missed calls and 132 unread text messages. I scrolled through them briefly. Jennifer, kids are crying because Aunt Mari won't see them for Christmas. Hope you're happy. Amy, you've ruined everything. We have to cancel our trip because of you. Dad, your mother is sick with stress. This is on you. Mom, I can't believe you would do this to us. Various cousins and aunts' versions of how could you and family doesn't do this. One message stood out from Lisa, proud of you, warrior. Have an amazing adventure. I turned off my phone and headed to the airport. The Uber driver was chatty, asking about my holiday plans. When I told him I was volunteering in Guatemala, his face lit up. That's beautiful, giving back during Christmas. Your family must be so proud. I almost laughed. Something like that. The flight to Guatemala City was surreal. As we lifted off, I watched the city shrink below and felt something lift from my shoulders. 13 years of weight, of expectation, of servitude, floating away like clouds. The program coordinator, Maria, met me at the airport in Guatemala City. She was a small woman with a huge smile and warm eyes. Marisol, welcome. We're so happy you could join us for the holidays. The bus ride to the village took 3 hours through mountains and jungle. The other volunteers were already there. Robert, a retired teacher from Canada, 3 college students from Germany, and Anne, a nurse from Seattle. They welcomed me warmly, genuinely happy to have another pair of hands for the work. The village was small but vibrant. Children ran everywhere, laughing and playing with handmade toys. The building site was a partially constructed schoolhouse that would serve about 50 children who currently walk 2 hours to the nearest school. That first evening, December 22nd, we had a simple dinner of rice beans and fresh tortillas. The village elder, Don Carlos, thanked us in broken English for coming to help. His granddaughter, Sophia, 8 years old like Jennifer's. Brendan shyly offered me a hand-woven bracelet. For you, she said in careful English. Thank you for helping. I nearly cried. This child who had almost nothing was thanking me, while my family, who had everything, had never once expressed genuine gratitude. December 23rd dawned early with roosters crowing. As Jennifer would have been dropping off her kids at my door back home, I was learning to mix cement. As Amy would have been heading to the airport, I was helping carry cinder blocks. The work was hard, physical, and purposeful. My soft hands blistered quickly, but I didn't care. Every block laid was progress towards something that mattered. Sophia stayed near me, practicing her English. She told me about her dreams of becoming a teacher, but first she needed a school. Her current classroom was 2 hours away by foot, and during rainy season, the journey was impossible. That afternoon, I taught English to a group of children under a tree. They were eager, attentive, repeating words with huge smiles. No one complained about being bored. No one demanded screens or special snacks. These children who had so little were grateful for everything. December 24th, Christmas Eve. Back home, Mum would be preparing for her important dinner party. Jennifer would be on the slopes. Amy would be on a beach, and I was exactly where I needed to be, painting walls with colours the children had chosen bright blue, like the sky, sunny yellow, like marigolds. That evening, the village held a modest Christmas celebration. There was music from handmade instruments, traditional dancing, and tamales made by the entire community working together. Real togetherness, not the forced obligation I'd always known. I briefly turned on my phone to find it flooded with messages. Jennifer's husband had texted, "We had to cancel the trip. Thanks a lot." Jennifer herself, "The kids are devastated. You've ruined their Christmas. Mum, the dinner party was a disaster without your help. I hope you're satisfied." I turned the phone back off. Their problems were not my problems. Their failure to plan was not my emergency. Christmas morning arrived with children singing carols in Spanish outside our dormitory. They had made paper decorations and hung them on a small tree. Sophia ran up to me with a drawing she'd made stick figures holding hands in front of a schoolhouse. "This is you," she pointed to one figure. "You help us build dreams." I cried, then really cried. Not from sadness or frustration, but from joy. This was what gratitude looked like. This was what appreciation felt like. This was what it meant to be valued. We worked through Christmas Day and no one complained. The college students from Germany taught the children Christmas songs in German. Robert shared stories about Canadian winters. Anne did basic health checkups for the village children. I painted murals on the classroom walls, bright educational pictures that would inspire learning. Late that afternoon, I sat with Maria, the program coordinator, watching the sunset over the mountains. "Why did you come here for Christmas?" she asked. "Most Americans stay with family." I needed to find out what family really means, I told her. She smiled. "Family is not just blood. Family is people who value you, who see you, who appreciate what you give. These children, this village, we are family to each other." That night, lying in my simple bed listening to the jungle sounds, I felt more at peace than I had in 13 years. I briefly turned on my phone one more time. Among all the angry messages was one from Amy. "I'm sorry. You were right. We hired babysitters and it cost us $3,000 for 3 days. We had no idea. I'm sorry we took you for granted. It was a start, but it didn't change anything. I was done being the family servant." January 3rd arrived too quickly. 2 weeks in Guatemala had changed something fundamental in me. My hands were calloused from work, my skin tanned from the sun, and my heart was full in a way it had never been. The schoolhouse was nearly complete, needing just a few finishing touches that the next volunteer group would handle. On my last morning, the entire village gathered to say goodbye. Sophia clung to my hand, tears streaming down her face. "You come back. Someday," I promised. "And you keep studying English. When I come back, we'll have long conversations." Don Carlos made a speech in Spanish, which Maria translated. "You came as strangers, you leave as family. This school will educate our children for generations. We name you honorary members of our village. You are always welcome here." The children performed one last song, and the women presented us with hand-woven bags. Real gifts made with love and given with genuine gratitude. I thought of all the expensive presents my family had given me over the years, always with strings attached, always with the expectation of service in return. The flight home was bittersweet. Part of me wanted to stay in Guatemala forever, but I knew I had to return and face my new reality. I turned on my phone once I landed. The messages had evolved over 2 weeks. First week, anger, blame, guilt trips. Second week, cold silence, then grudging acknowledgement. Most recent, Jennifer asking if I was coming to New Year's dinner. I texted back, "Only if it's just dinner. I don't babysit anymore." My apartment felt different when I walked in. Lisa had not only watered my plants, but had left a welcome home banner and a bottle of wine with a note, "Proud of you for choosing yourself." I spent the next day readjusting, doing laundry, and processing the experience. On January 5th, my phone rang. "Mom, I suppose you're proud of yourself," she said without preamble. "Actually, yes, I am." A long silence. "The family is very disappointed in you." "I'm sorry they feel that way." "You're not sorry at all." "You're right. I'm not sorry for choosing to live my own life." Jennifer and Brad had to spend $3,000 on babysitters. Now they know what childcare actually costs. Amy's twins bit the babysitter. She quit after 1 day. Maybe Amy should address their behavioral issues instead of expecting me to just deal with it. "You've changed," Mum said accusingly. "Yes, I have. For the better. I don't know if you're welcome at family gatherings anymore." "That's your choice, Mom, but I'll no longer be attending if the expectation is that I'm there to work instead of participate." She hung up without saying goodbye. February arrived with tentative olive branches. Amy called first. "Murray, I owe you an apology. I had no idea how hard it was. The babysitter literally quit. She said 2 toddlers were harder than her previous job with 5 kids, because at least those kids were different ages. Marcus and I realized we've been terrible to you. Thank you for saying that. Would you consider babysitting again if we paid you properly?" "No, Amy, I'm not a babysitter. I'm your sister-in-law. If there's a real emergency, I'll help. But regular childcare. You need to hire professionals." "I understand. Could we maybe just have regular family time instead, where you're actually part of things instead of watching the kids in another room?" "I'd like that." Jennifer was more resistant. She sent a text in March, "Need someone to watch kids this weekend. We'll pay $20 for the whole day." I responded, "Professional rate is $25 per hour per child. That's $75 per hour for your 3. 8-hour day equals $600. She called immediately. $600. That's insane. That's the rate. Feel free to shop around. But you're their aunt. Exactly. Their aunt, not their nanny. Aunts do fun occasional activities. Nannies provide regular childcare. She hung up angry, but called back a week later. "Would you like to come to Brendan's birthday party as a guest, not to work? We hired entertainers." It was progress. The real change came at Easter. I arrived at my parents' house to find they'd hired catering staff. Mum looked at me uncomfortably. "We thought it would be nice if you could actually enjoy the meal with us." For the first time in 13 years, I sat at the Easter table for the entire meal. No one asked me to clear plates, watch kids, or serve food. Jennifer's kids came to show me their Easter eggs, and I enjoyed them as an aunt should, with affection but not responsibility. Grandma pulled me aside. "I still think family should help family, she said. "But Maria told me what you did in Guatemala, building schools for poor children. That's admirable. Those children appreciated my help more than this family ever has," I said gently. "Perhaps we took you for granted," she admitted, which from Grandma was like a full apology. By summer, the family dynamics had completely shifted. Jennifer and Amy had regular babysitters. Mum hired help for large gatherings. I was invited to events as a guest, not staff. The children still loved me, but now I was fun Aunt Mari, who visited and played, not babysitter Mari, who managed their daily needs. In September, I returned to Guatemala for another 2-week volunteer stint. This time I posted photos on social media. The response from my family was surprising. Jennifer commented, "So proud of my sister-in-law making a difference." Mum wrote, "My daughter the humanitarian." Amy shared it with, "Marisol is inspiring me to find my own volunteer work." When I returned, Amy had actually signed up to volunteer at a local shelter. Jennifer was teaching art at an after-school program. They'd discovered what I'd learned, giving freely feels different than being forced to serve. Christmas rolled around again. This year, Mum called in November. "What are your Christmas plans, sweetheart?" "I'm volunteering at the homeless shelter on Christmas Day, but I'm free for dinner on Christmas Eve." "We'd love to have you. And don't worry, Jennifer and Amy have already arranged childcare for their ski trips." "They're going again." "Yes, but this time they budgeted for professional babysitters. Jennifer said it's actually more relaxing knowing the kids are with trained professionals." I smiled. Imagine that. Christmas Eve dinner was peaceful. I arrived as a guest bearing a pie I'd made and gifts for everyone. The children were there but managed by their parents. When Tyler had a meltdown, Jennifer handled it. When the twins got cranky, Amy took them for a walk. I sat by the fire with a glass of wine talking to Dad about my work. "You know," he said, "I never realized how much we put on you. Your mother and we grew up in different times. The unmarried daughter always helped. But times are different now. It's not about times being different, Dad. It's about respect. My time matters as much as anyone else's." "You're right. I'm sorry it took you leaving the country for us to see that." On Christmas morning, while Jennifer and Amy enjoyed their vacations and my parents hosted their friends, I served food at the homeless shelter. One of the volunteers, an older woman named Ruth, thanked me repeatedly. "You have no idea what this means," she said. "To be seen, to be valued, to have someone care enough to be here on Christmas." I did know. I knew exactly what it meant. That evening, I got a text from Sophia in Guatemala. Maria had helped her write it in English. "Merry Christmas, teacher Marisol. Our school is beautiful. We learn every day. Thank you for helping build our dreams." Below was a photo of the completed schoolhouse, painted bright with murals filled with children at desks learning. Real impact, real gratitude, real family. I looked around my quiet apartment, at my small Christmas tree, at the hand-woven bag from Guatemala hanging on my wall. For the first time in my adult life, I'd had the Christmas I wanted. Not perfect, not without conflict, but mine. I thought about the word selfish. For so long it had been a weapon used against me. But maybe being selfish sometimes was just another way of saying self-preservation. Maybe putting yourself first occasionally wasn't cruel but necessary. Maybe the oxygen mask principle applied to life. You can't help others if you're suffocating yourself. My phone buzzed with a message from Mum. Thank you for the lovely evening yesterday. We're grateful to have you in our lives. Grateful, not for what I could do, but for who I was. It only took 29 years and a trip to Guatemala to get here, but finally I was family, not staff. I was Marisol, not the unmarried aunt with time to spare. I was valued, not just used. Looking at Sophia's photo again, I made a decision. Next Christmas, I'd go back to Guatemala. Not to escape my family, but to be with another family, one that had taught me the true meaning of appreciation. Jennifer and Amy could afford their babysitters now. Mum had learned to hire help, and I had learned the most important lesson of all: sometimes the best way to save your family is to save yourself first. The greatest gift I gave my family that Christmas wasn't childcare or service or sacrifice. It was boundaries. And the greatest gift I gave myself was freedom. Freedom to choose, freedom to say no, freedom to be more than just the family safety net. Some might still call it selfish. I call it self-love. And that more than any obligatory family duty was the real Christmas miracle. Was it difficult to disappoint my family? Absolutely. Did I question my decision 1,000 times? Of course. But every time I remembered Sophia's face when she saw her new classroom, every time I got a message from the village thanking me for my help, every time I enjoyed a family gathering as a guest instead of staff, I knew I'd made the right choice. Because family, real family, doesn't require you to disappear so they can shine. Real family sees you, values you, and appreciates you for who you are, not just what you can provide. And sometimes you have to travel thousands of miles to find that family, even if it's not the one you were born into. That Christmas, when Mum planned to make me watch 5 kids, I learned that saying no to others meant saying yes to myself, and that yes changed everything. It gave me a life I never knew I could have, relationships based on mutual respect instead of obligation, and the knowledge that I was worth more than just my utility to others. The kids still call me Aunt Mari, but now when they see me, they run for hugs, not handoffs. Jennifer and Amy still travel, but they budget for childcare. Mum still hosts dinners, but she also hires help. And I still show up for my family, but on my terms as myself, whole and valued and free. That's my story. The Christmas I chose myself. The Christmas I found my real worth. The Christmas I learned that family duty shouldn't cost you your identity. Because at the end of the day, you can't pour from an empty cup, and I'd been running on empty for 13 years. Now my cup overflows. Not with obligation or guilt or resentment, but with purpose and joy and genuine love. The kind that comes from choosing to give, not being forced to serve. The kind that builds schools and changes lives and creates real connections. The kind that makes Christmas actually feel like Christmas. So to anyone watching who's been designated the family servant, who's missing their own life to manage everyone else's, who's been called selfish for wanting basic respect, know this: your time matters, your dreams matter, you matter. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your family is to teach them that you're a person, not a service. What boundaries do you need to set with your family this holiday season? Have you ever been the default babysitter, the automatic volunteer, the one who always says yes? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about finding yourself and setting boundaries. And please share this with someone who needs to hear that their time and energy matter too. Thank you for listening to my story. Remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. And may your holidays be filled with the respect and appreciation you deserve.